Good afternoon. Welcome to Gulfstream today. Ron Nicoletti along with Acacia Courtney, and it's just, it's almost like a broken record. It is absolutely gorgeous here in South Florida. Just look at those blue sky. We're going to have a fast main track, firm turf course, and of course the kickoff of a nice weekend of racing with the Hutchison Stakes. So we're going to have racing throughout the afternoon occasion. We got a lot of good stuff going on today, and most importantly is Beat the Expert. So we want people to get their selections in as soon as possible.
Yeah, I don't know if I would use most importantly, but I guess so. We want you to play. It's free to play. We hope everybody participates. Head on over to the Gulfstream Park website and get your picks in for today's 10-race card. If you pick more winners than me, you could have a chance to win one of those great Beat the Expert polos.
And also a little later this afternoon, each and every Friday, we've got the Stronach 5, and just been a great bet at 12% takeout. We got 2 races this week from Gulfstream Park, one from Laurel, one from Golden Gate, and of course out at Santa Anita. So all the Stronach tracks involved. And as Pete says, we use it a lot, Overlay City, but he's absolutely right about that. Kicks off about 4 and ends about 5:15. Not bad.
Yeah, absolutely. That low 12% takeout is made for some very generous returns. A couple of weeks ago, we saw pretty much all favorites in the sequence, and it still paid $500. So I hope that you take part. It's always a lot of fun. Kicks off at Laurel Park just a little bit before 4 p.m.
So that takes care of all the early business right now. So we'll jump right into the Friday card. And, of course, each and every day we have a couple of pick fives. So we got the early one. Acacia's got her ticket right now.
Yeah, I do have, excuse me, a $36 play here. I'm 3 deep to start things off. Currently, the 5 is the favorite for Brian Lynch. I thought it was a pretty wide open race to start things off. 2 deep in the third race. In the second race and the third race. I think that Causing a Hullabaloo is the one to beat in race number 3, but wanted to back myself up with Systematic, who's making just her second start on the turf and comes out of a good effort as well. Fourth race, I'm 2 deep in there. I maybe considered Benefactor just being in the right spot, but again, you never know who's going to really step forward at this level, and so included Rocking the Boat. And then 3 deep in the 5th race, where officiating does look to be in a good spot for Bill Mott.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice race, and that'll kick off the Rainbow 6 this afternoon. The 3 horses I used. I'm glad you used Borcan, too, on there. I have some interest in that art for Mr. Christophe Clement. So starting the first race, a 6.5 furlong sprint. As we mentioned at the top, fast main track, firm turf course. And I went with the number 5, and so did you, Kolahoe Prince, who's turning back to 6.5 furlongs today. Responded to both the drop down last time out and the surface switch with that second place finish going 7 against this level of competition. Slight turn back, looks like all the things you need to run well in the opener.
And I had liked him last time. He was actually my top pick at 7-1. I think he'll be much shorter than that today, unfortunately. But nobody was beating Chip Shape that afternoon, who was a very impressive firster. I thought that he made a lot of sense in this spot. And the same thing with the 8 Flamingo Hawk, who does turn back in distance, but I think the biggest thing with him is that he's dropping in class. He's only ever faced tougher, and unfortunately, since moving to Saffie Joseph's barn, he's gradually descended down the claiming scale, made him special weight to 50 to 35, now to 16. But it just kind of makes sense with that drop in class and thinking that he could be in a good spot.
Yeah, and Red Ortiz, another multiple win day yesterday, and this one too. Those were trio of races you were alluding to were the miles, so maybe 6.5 is the secret today. A second race this afternoon. We're back on the turf. No, first turf race of the afternoon. Kicks off the first of 2 pick 4s. 1 mile on the turf claimers. Fillies and mares, 4 and up, non-winners of a race since September 5th. $16,000, so a dated claimer. And I just think the number 3, Naimu's Treasure, is the one to look like at first in this spot.
I agree, and it's funny because she had run on the turf back at Belterra Park in 2019, so I think there were a lot of questions in the last couple of races as to how she did stack up with that dated claiming competition, and it turns out that she actually has run quite well. She was beaten second 2 starts back behind Scatnap, who was just the ageless mare for Jane Sibeli at the time, and then last time out beaten just a neck beyond Codrington, who also had a lot of back class too. So I think though she's kind of been knocking on the door in her last couple, she's a major player in this spot. But the same could be said for Aerodynamic, the one who's been running against open claiming types and now goes into that condition since non-winners of a race since September 5th.
Yeah, Victor Barboza Jr., Edgar Zayas. I had some interest in the number 7 in here. Love Daddy has her claiming tech sliced in half. Stretches out to the mile today. Failed to get it on track, but that was 35 condition claimers going 5. It's Safi, Miguel Vasquez. I just thought the class relief, maybe this horse can grab a share, but I agree with you that the 3 and 1 look like the major players in this spot.
Well, I just wanted to mention quickly, too, I use the other Safi because the 5 Passion Plus was the favorite last time off for the claim, was eased and vanned off, and now comes back at the same level, keeps Irad Ortiz, and it comes back pretty quickly. That last race was January 22nd, so kind of a normal type of spacing in here, too. I didn't know what to make of her, but I felt, okay, if Irad's riding her back, she was the favorite, something must have happened, and she's obviously doing fine to be able to come back at the same kind of level.
Yeah, you make a couple of great points. I'm going to have to go back and revisit that. That's good points there, and that is the other one from Safi Joseph Jr. Race 3 this afternoon, 1 mile on the turf, maiden special weight. These are state-bred filly 3-year-olds. We do have a scratch of the main truck only, the number 1 horse in here. And as you mentioned when you were giving out your ticket, it looks like the number 5 horse, Causing a Hullabaloo, might be the one to beat. Let's go back and look at this horse's last race. We're going to pick up a couple of spots. We're just going to show from the 8th pole to the wire when she's just coming down. And she looks like she's fighting right on there. And she just gets, runs very well in the spot. She's the number 6 here, and you're going to see just at the wire with the 1 coming up and just getting her at the wire. Now you're just going to see a little bit of that. We're going to show you the head-on of that. I don't know if it cost this horse the race, but I wanted to just show it. Just comes out and gives her a little bit of a bop there at the end. So I don't know how much that affected the win, but with that said, I just wanted to show it. Causing a Hullabaloo, MCL Jaramillo for Mark Cassie.
And I think that why we see, and obviously the 1 did end up beating her, so it didn't affect the order of finish, but she was coming out too. And I think that was the initial problem, was that even though Misael was going right-handed, Causing a Hullabaloo was drifting out. So I'll be curious to see today. Obviously his main goal is going to be keeping her in a straight line. So when the 1 horse Big Van Louisiane did kind of come back over, that's where that slight bumping did happen. But I think in the beginning it was caused by her drifting at the start. So I think that she's the one to beat in here. She ran very well against Open Maiden Special Weight Company at a big price, 2 starts back to finish 3rd against a nice field. But I could not leave off the number 4, Systematic, who comes out of that same race, and we saw her closing to dead heat for 3rd with Simply the Best. That was her first start on the turf, first start coming back here down here to Florida for George Weaver. So I think that she's one who has license to improve.
Yeah, and she had some trouble. If you go back and look at that race from the beginning, she sort of veered out at the start, and she ended up finishing that 3rd. So coming out of that race, I also used the 2 Katie's Dream Girl, who's stepping up to face state-bred special weight runners and getting Lasix first start since finishing that rallying 3rd. But that was against 35 maidens going 7.5. Now it's back in December. Ralph Nix. Arad's going to be in the saddle today atop this daughter of young Brian. So I just thought maybe you give that horse a second look.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting race. I threw on the 6 Emirates Affair, who's been off a little bit of a layoff. The only time she's run against state-bred company was last time in Stakes Company at Gulfstream Park West. So I think that she has a little bit of dirtied up form and could be an interesting player.
Race number 4, 6 1/2 furlongs today. Claimers 4 and up, non-winners of 3 in life, or a race since 10-5, 35 down to $25,000. And I went with, I'll start it off here with the number 7. I don't know if this one's the favorite. Town Classic's going to face the 35 condition claimers. Do with some of the hardest knocking sprinters on the grounds, includes Avant-Garde, front-loaded, against these horses here. Been finishing second a lot, got that case of second-itis, but just been flattered by the horses, the horses this horse has been facing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The last 5 races were second-place finishes, and I think I just couldn't kind of get past that to end up liking him in here, but you're absolutely right. I mean, Avant-Garde looks like we'll be taking a shot in Dubai for the sprint race there, so wishing, of course, him the best of luck, but this one's been running against some very nice horses. I thought the 5 Benefactor, who has a similar kind of of look to him in that he's been right there. He's been close. Last 3 races were in the money finishes. But he does get the little extra furlong to the 6.5 today. He faced Life in Shambles, who's as tough as they come, still running top, I believe now is a 9-year-old and consistent on the racetrack. So I gave him a shot in this spot.
Yeah, trained by Marcial Navarro, ridden by Luis Saez this afternoon. We both have the 2 rocking the boat in second. It's turning back to the 6.5 furlongs after returning from about a 10-month layoff to finish a stalk to pace third against this level. That was going a mile. Bobby DeBona, who claimed him last out, Irad handling the turn back this afternoon. Lots of good things with that horse today.
And he does have some back class, too. I mean, this is a horse that was facing very nice company back in 2019. Let's see if he can get back on track today.
Well, we're going to take a short break. Come back. We're going to show you my Rainbow 6 ticket. $1.1 million in the jackpot pool today.
In the 2 path. Ground on her inside. Race. And a quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 on top. It's last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Ron and Acacia. Beautiful Friday afternoon. $1.1 million in the Rainbow 6 jackpot guaranteed today. And there you see it, $1.1 million. And we have some news that we saw. We broke on Twitter just a little while ago. Mandatory payout on Sunday, but we'll talk about that later. You win this $1 million, then you win another $1 million on Sunday. So we'll see how that plays out. Going to show you my 43 day. Oh, there it is.
Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah, March 7th, mandatory payout. Will probably be over $5 million without a doubt. Now, Saturday, our sister track, Santa Anita's got a mandatory payout. So lots of action in the Stronach tracks over this weekend, Hutchison Stakes weekend. So we'll see how that plays out. With that said, I'll show you my ticket right now, and it is $43.20. And officiating, I thought was good. Triple Jeopardy, that is they have to brother the 3 rules, ran great on the turf. I'll show you that race in a minute. And Borcan, too deep in race number 6 with Creator Story and Bisiacci. And then I think Crystal Coast is going to run well in race number 7. That's one of the legs of the Rainbow 6. But I also used the morning line favorite, Celestial Cheetah. 8th race, too deep. Sir Ollie looks like a big one today. Then I got some coverage in the last race. I'm going to try and wake up the number 9 Belgrado, who's run well at 5 furlongs in the past, 2 for 3 at that distance. I think 12-1 on the morning line. So
is that your long shot?
That's my long shot today.
Well,
and
that's my long shot.
we do that an awful lot.
I'm thinking like you. I don't know what that says about me.
You're in big trouble is what it says. So we'll see how it plays out. But that's a pretty good race here with the coming up to kick it off. I like this race today. It's a mile on the turf, maiden special weight, state-bred 3-year-olds. We both have officiating on top of a ticket who's a half-brother to Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner Caledonia Road, stretching out to the mile today.
Yeah, and I guess that there had been some trepidation about this one as he had just taken a long time, hadn't been able to break his maiden. He had that good breeding. Going into state-bred company, going onto the turf, but he ran much better. And he had run some good races on the main track before. Nothing, I'd say, spectacular, but I do think that he actually improved switching to the grass last time out. Overall, as far as Beyer does go, the horses coming out of that race, it was a bit slow, but I do think that it could be a live race moving forward. I felt that both he and Borcan, who come out of that race, could take a step forward in this spot, and clearly officiating improved switching to the grass.
Well, Triple Jeopardy, as I was alluding to, a half-brother to multiple stakes winner, 3 rules, who did, of course, most of his does good work on the dirt, is sitting on a winning performance. He was second behind that horse who came back and won the Grade 3 Kitten's Joy, Chess's Dream. But I want to go back and show you this horse's last race. It was back on January 13th, and just going to show you the turn from the home. And he just, he's the number 8 horse in here, and he goes just as wide as you can possibly go, as I always say, out by the popcorn stand. But he just comes close late, and you look, you say, okay, he might be fourth here. And, of course, they were slowing down in front, but he just comes flying and flying. I thought it was a good race, and he just comes that short of winning. So that is triple jeopardy. So I thought when Jose Pinch and Luis Saez in the saddle, and as you mentioned, Borcan stretching out after responding pretty well to the Lasix and blinkers with that improved third you mentioned for Christophe Clement.
Yeah, I think the blinkers really helped quite a bit last time as well. And just to circle back with Triple Jeopardy, I know that Three Rules was a dirt horse, but the majority of the family overall, I've actually always felt is more turf. So I liked when this horse switched to the grass, and I think he's improved on turf. And obviously the Kozans, they can run on anything.
Yeah, so we'll see how Triple Jeopardy runs, but officiating both on top of both our tickets in there. Race number 6 is 6 1/2 furlongs. Claimers, fillies and mares, 4 and up. Non-winners of 2 in life, $6,250. Got a scratch in here of Take Two to Wiggle, but have no fear. Wiggles fans. This one is back in on Sunday.
We're glad for that.
Yeah, we're glad for that. Now, maybe that'll be part of the Rainbow Six. I forgot what race that horse is in. With that said, 6 1/2 furlongs, as I mentioned, these claimers kicks off our final pick 5 of the day.
And kicking it off here, I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid, as we always like to say. I just didn't really trust anybody in this field. I have a good stat on Gilberto Zerpa that will show, so I'm going to stand alone with Create a Story, who will likely be a very short price, but I wanted to spread in a couple of the other races. So I'm going to single right there in the first leg. 2 horses in race number 7. I agree with you about Crystal Coast and Celestial Cheetah. I don't know why, but that name just cracks me up every time. In the 8th race, I'm 3 deep. That's a fun one. I think Sir Ollie, maybe a single for many, but Ampersand second off the layoff will probably, I would think, run better today. And Gatsby has been right there all along. 9th race is a great race, the best race on the card. Really looking forward to that one for the older fillies and mares. And I'm 4 deep in theirs. I think it's very contentious with some nice ones off the layoff. And I've got Belgrano as well in the nightcap along with Tropicat.
We're going to carry both of us home.
I know. Poor Belgrano.
On Beat the Expert Day, but just taking a shot with the turn back. That's great. I like that. Well, this horse was started off, as you said, the Creator Story goes to the Gilberto Zerpa barn after the claimant turns back to 6 1/2 furlongs. And you found a really great stat. When I saw this, I was amazed.
Yeah, it is. This is Gilberto Zerpa over the past 5 years. First off the claim, going from route to sprint, he wins at a 50% clip, and 12 out of those 16 have finished in the money. And it's still a good ROI, nearly $3, in fact. I was just astounded by this stat. And the barn's really been heating up. You've got Irad Ortiz. The only win did come sprinting. I just felt this was the best spot for this filly.
A good single in that race. Other couple of other horses. I used the number 7, Bisiachi, in second, who's back in the Don Swick barn. Daughter of Big Beast, breaks from an improved post after getting hung out wide when breaking from post 11 in the slop last time out. Edgar Zayas. I thought maybe, and like you had Just Dreamy, now in the Carlos David barn, you always got to give that barn a second look.
Absolutely. I agree with you on those two, kind of being the other players in that.
Race number 7, 1 mile on the turf. Claimers, fillies, 3-year-olds, 35 down to $25,000. And as I mentioned, this is leg B of the Stronach 5. And we have our 2 selections flip-flop here. And you really can go either way. Let's start it off with a horse you seem to love the name of, and that's Celestial Cheetah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it or where the name comes from, but I just find it hysterical. So this is an interesting filly because she broke her maiden at Delaware Park going a mile. That's 2 turns there. She went right into the Demoiselle and was very well beaten, but obviously against a quality horse and tough competition, then came back and won a nice allowance last time out. So the fact that they try her on the turf today, I think is kind of interesting. And I remembered the name, so that's why the name kind of sticks out to me. She was entered on the Preakness weekend undercard in the Salima Stakes, which is a mile and a 16th on the turf. And I remember speaking to Jerry O'Dwyer the day before, asking, hey, what do you think about trying the turf? And he said, honestly, it came up a lot tougher. I still want to try on the turf, but I think she's going to run at Delaware instead. She did on October 5th, and she won there to break her maiden on dirt, and that's why they've kept her. But clearly, they've wanted to try her on turf for a while. This is back to the beginning of October. She does have 2 siblings that won on the grass.
Yeah, that race on the dirt last time, that 50 starter, was a really nice race for this horse. Number 3, Crystal Coast, who is impressive, breaking her maiden on the turf 2 starts back. Let's just go back and show you that performance. It's sort of just a window dressing now. That was 2 back, and I just thought it was a really good performance. Crystal Coast is the number 1 that day, and I just thought she ran exceptionally well for Carlos David, and she just drew off in the stretch and looked very professional. Now, they tried her on the dirt last time out, didn't fare that well, but I just thought it was a good performance. And in this spot for Phillies 3-year-olds 35 to 25, I thought she's a major player.
Yeah, she is. And she's obviously still kind of figuring things out, late swapping leads and things like that. But overall, she was much the best there. And if you go through just the turf races, a win, 2 back, a second prior to that, her recent turf races at the proper level have been good.
Yeah, and I used the cheerleader Barb in third, who's hoping to break trouble free. She hopped at the start prior to finishing third against 35 starter. Optional claimers going a mile for Kathleen. Paco Lopez returning on, the daughter of Soldat.
And I thought the one Viking Queen could be interesting as she drops in for the 35,000. She faced I Get It and Con Lima in her last couple. Very, very nice horses.
Another nice race is race number 8 this afternoon on the main track. 6.5 furlongs, allowance state bred 3-year-olds, and just a really nice field in here. And I thought, and you do too, that Sir Ali might be the one to beat for Mr. Bill Mott. Yeah,
he very well could be. I toyed with the idea of singling him, and then I said, you know what, I still don't really trust him because I still think that debut race that he won was kind of a slow race. I don't think it was the saltiest field that he faced. I had looked at him, I said, he physically just looks like he kind of needs a start, and I didn't really like the competition. And he won, and he did so nicely. And then coming back next time out, he was beaten as the favorite, but he was beaten just by 3/4 of a length going 7 furlongs. Gets a half furlong last, and just his build, I think shorter is actually a little bit better, though it is just half a furlong. I think this is a good spot for him. But I just could not get past Gatsby, who's just been so consistent, running good numbers recently, and thinking maybe Ampersand's second off the layoff will be stronger today.
Well, Gatsby gets the blinkers removed, stretches out the additional furlong. After that workman like second, ran good at 5.5 furlongs for Juan Alvarado. Arad, of course, in the saddle on this Arundel homebred. I had some interest in case the horse you had in fourth, the Spear Gun, and this one moved to the Ruben Cressida barn. After the claim stretches out, returns to the main track, I should say, after following that solid third, sprinting on the dirt, comes back, runs okay against claimers on the turf. The barn doesn't do this a lot, but 4 for 12, 33% with the grass to dirt move. So maybe that horse runs well. I mean, you got this one on your ticket too. So
yeah, I think that this is kind of the wild card of the race because obviously the dirt races are good. Let's see if he runs back to some of those bigger performances.
Race number 9 this afternoon, 1 mile on the turf, allowance optional claimer. Fillies and mares 4 and up. They could run for the optional tag of 62,500. Feature race today. Scratch the 7 and the 9, and I went with the number 4, Kissing Frogs, on top of my ticket. Talking about names that are pretty cool that you'll always remember.
You can't forget this one.
This was going to try and keep a record on the Gulfstream Park turf unblemished after following. She had a maiden victory here in 2019 in December and came back in December of 2020, and that's what we're going to show you. This one, we're going to pick it up from the top of the stretch, and just a nice move. There she is, the number 6 horse in there, and she just makes this nice move. She splits horses right there and then just tips out and runs very well to win it. And you got Bill Mott at 12 or 13. I think it was 13 to 1 that day. So, just ran very well against Mamina's team over there. And I thought off that performance coming back for Bill Mott, was very professional. And as I mentioned, came off a year layoff and is able to win. Now coming off a little bit of a shorter layoff for sure today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, typically any horse that beats Mamina's team in setting the mood, I'm not going to put much stock into it because they are just professional maidens. They always run well, but they just don't win. But Kissing Frogs did it so nicely and physically off the layup. I mean, she completely won me over. I looked back at my notes and just loved what I saw from her that day. So a little bit now about the two plus months that she's coming back now. She, I think, is the lightly raced kind of maybe wild card stepping forward, where you do have some with some big back class in here. I landed on Simplicity. I'm surprised you didn't use her.
Yeah.
But I realized her last race was bad, but it was behind Feel Glorious, who was just beaten by a neck, maybe behind Got Stormy this past weekend in the Grade 3 Honey Fox, a multiple stakes winner. I remember seeing her in Saratoga, and I looked at her. I said, for a European filly at the time coming over here, she looks like a cult. She's just in her build, how solid and massive she is. She's run some good races, so I'm looking forward to seeing her back.
Got to go back and look at that past performance. I have a mark third here, and something happened. I changed my mind somewhere along the line. So whatever.
It's a tough race.
Yeah.
It's a very tough race.
Yeah, I did go with the horse you have in third and second, and that is White Tez, I think it is. With Tez. Drop it to this level of, into this optional claimer after facing graded stakes competition before the layoff. Includes that third place finish. That was in the Grade 3 Lake George at Saratoga. Ian Wilkes, Julian Leperoux. She's got some class, this daughter, more than ready.
Yes, she does. I'm a big fan of her, and I remember speaking to Ian at Saratoga. That's how I know about the name. She's named after a very famous Arabian, in fact, that Mrs. Charleston was a fan of, and named her after that horse, Wittez, as she's in off of a layoff after the off-the-turf Mrs. Revere. Obviously, she wants to be on the grass, but was facing very, very good company before the break.
And Lashara, the British bred, is making her 4-year-old debut. She had a really consistent turf campaign during her sophomore season, in which she was 4 for 5 in the money, and her only miscue coming into Grade 2 Lake Placid. So Mark Cassie, Louis Saez in the irons today. She looks like she has some class, too.
Second behind Duopoly, two-back, who would go on to be a Grade 1 winner for Chad Brown. She won a nice allowance race at Belmont last time out. She is another interesting one. Like I said, this is a very, very fun race. I'm looking forward to it. And we didn't even touch about some of the other ones in here that you could potentially make a case for.
Absolutely. So it's a fun race, and that is part of the Rainbow Six. Don't forget that. Now we go to race 10. 5 furlongs turf, starter allowance 4 and up. Started for 16 or less. And there you see it. Both of us with the 9. Belgrano on top, who has run well at 5 furlongs in the past, which I liked. 3 starts, 2 wins. Turns back, showed that speed, and faded to behind that repeat winner, Midday Image, I believe it is, in back-to-back route races. And it was looking for a price. Jose Ortiz riding in great form. I just thought this horse was interesting.
Well, there goes our price, I think, unfortunately. And I think I gave it out to 3 people betting this morning as well when walking in. But I agree with you. Stakes winner sprinting at Monmouth. Ran in the Claiming Crown Canterbury behind the very talented Via. And then last 2 races was going long, which is not what he wants. So I think the turn back is a big key in here, not to mention Jose Ortiz. Tropicat, though, came off the layoff at a nice win with a 90 buyer speed figure last time out, over fully loaded. He's definitely, I think, kind of like the barn mascot now for Ralph Nix, as he's an 8-year-old.
Yeah, trained by Amador Sanchez, fully loaded. This is the Tropicat, as you mentioned. Just a good race, but we'll see if we get Belgrano home. I wanted no scratches in the race because I wanted everybody not to find it, but that is not the case. And who finds it? Acacia. So enough said. Let's go to the lightning round.
A lightning round coming up next, as we have some fun stuff to talk about today. And if you are a fan of Irad Ortiz, I know there's a lot of you out there. You do have the opportunity to get your Irad Ortiz Jr. signed bobblehead. It will support the permanently disabled Jockeys Fund, and he's in the Klarovich Silks, highlighting his Pegasus World Cup turf win a couple years ago on bricks and mortar.
Yeah, it's only 900 of them made, and a $25 donation gets you one, benefiting, as you said, the Stable Jockey Fund. And if you can't attend the races, you can get one of these. You can make an order online. So check out GulfstreamPark.com. You can get one online, I believe. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of those signed, as mentioned, just a limited number. So make sure you check out that, all for a great cause, as well as out at our sister track, Santa Anita. Ron mentioned there's a mandatory payout tomorrow on Saturday at Santa Anita, but it's also a great day of racing out there in California, including the Big Cap, always a great time of year, as we have Independence Hall and Maxfield will duel Independence Hall, of course, third in the Pegasus World Cup. Here's Maxfield galloping over the track.
Yeah, Maxfield just getting ready. He's in good form. He's going for, I believe, I think he's undefeated.
Yeah, he is undefeated.
Six consecutive victories. So he'll be out. That is a great race. It's
Yeah.
a great one. And of course, they call it the big cap. It's the Santa Anita Handicap, and that's just one of the many fantastic races out there at our sister track, Santa Anita.
He looks great, huh?
Yeah, oh, he looks
like
fantastic.
he's loaded up there on the track, so looking forward to watching that. As here at Gulfstream, we have some great races to look forward to on Saturday. Of course, the Hutchison, we showed you the field yesterday, but the past winners of this race, Ron, I just always find it fascinating looking at who's won the Hutchison. I know you enjoyed looking back at the 1994 win.
Yeah, this was, of course, the one and only Holy Bull. He had got past and he fought back. It was just an incredible performance. But, you know, when you said that, I just looked back. More Than Ready, Fly So Free, Housebuster, Swale, Spectacular Bid, all have won the Hutchison Stakes. When we said we were going to mention this today, I just went and clicked on and see who ran in it.
Yeah.
Amazing, just amazing. And I saw it from Spectacular Bid on, so I remember a lot of those. It's still a great race.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that tomorrow. As today, we mentioned that Stronach 5, 12% takeout. Overlay City, as always. Get ready for a fun sequence today. All of the Stronach tracks in play.
Yeah, so you already go there. You see we got two from Gulfstream, one from Laurel, and one from Golden Gate, and one from Santa Anita. So everybody's playing this afternoon.
And we've been highlighting some great aftercare stories on the show this week. And this one is exciting for me because it's a special one. As many of you who've been following Florida racing will probably remember Fast Pass, stakes winner here in Florida. He traveled to Korea with Peter Walder. He's been retired. He's now with my mother in Connecticut at our facility. It's Racing for Home. This was his last win back in May.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his past performances here in the Claimant Crown Express. He was just beating a nose in that race, and he won that stake. He won the opening lead, so pretty nice horse. He always tried, and they sent him to Korea. There you see a nice picture of him. He's it looks like he's relaxed and at home right now.
He is, yes, he's going to have a great life now. Some nice time off, and also Brooks All Mine, who was recently retired for Peter Walder, also at Racing for Home to be adopted out at a great new home as well. So we're very excited about their future, and I know a lot of people follow Florida racing. If you're wondering where Fast Pass and Brooks All Mine are, take note that they are having a great time and being spoiled rotten by my mother right now.
Yeah, they're in Acacia's backyard if you're looking for them.
Absolutely, and you can always follow everything on Racing for Home on our social media if you're interested in following their future and their new careers after the racetrack. But that'll do it for us today as far as the morning show does go. We'll send it up to the one and only Pete Aiello for scratches and changes.